service the industry for quite some time, right? Not to say that well, I'm not here to judge the importance or value of any of these organizations to the community necessarily, right? But like I mean, I think, and I say this often, like really mean it. There's way more competition than necessary. In not just to start with space, but just these spaces in general, right? But, there is where we live in a capitalistic market where you have a business ideally the cream rises to the crop, right? Like you got the strongest business model, right, and it forces you to continue to innovate. Um, but yeah, I mean, there is a lot of competition. I've seen and I've heard anecdotally, of course, that like the space can be confusing for somebody that's looking for the resources. Like, what's going on? Like, there's 3 events tonight that are all kind of focused on, tech, but, like, none of these organizations that are hosting the events are talking to each other, right? There's been a lot of people within the community that are trying to somehow solve for that, like, seen several iterations of this, tech community calendar so everybody knows what's going on with each other that, have or, like, Slack channels that have been developed around that so we can make sure that we're working together, but, like, that those are al they always seem to be short-lived. I don't know. We'll see.
That's not
But
I think it's crazy too, like, of course, the weather in Seattle from, like, we'll say Octo November to February is not the best, right?
sure.
But it's like in Seattle taking me everyone, like, crams their tech events in the summer events, right? You have, like, a year events in, like, 2 or 3 months period, and then the rest of the months, like, nothing goes on, you
I
know?
know. I mean, that's frustrating. I mean, for one, like events are hard to do. Like, it's not a really a
People don't
sustainable
realize that
thing.
too, like, events don't happen, there's, like
No,
there's a lot of shit goes
a
into it.
lot that goes into an event.
It's not
Like,
easy to do an event.
yeah, no, the amount of time, oftentimes money that goes into it, right? And like, for what's the impact, right?
Mhm.
Like, I find a lot with people that are like coordinator running events, like I've got energy to do this event because I have an idea, and then they do the event, and they have no idea what to do post event,
Yeah.
right? Like, how to like further that
Take
idea.
advantage of
Like, well, yeah,
everything.
what is the value to you of hosting the event other than just being an event host, right? So it's like, I feel like a lot of that stuff seems very like it all seems fragmented, right? Like disjointed from, it's a bunch of like just floating disjointed events and event
Yeah.
organizations or organizations that are hosting events. And oftentimes they're not designed around calendar. They're designed around personal convenience or
Yeah.
personal initiative, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like, oh, summertime, I've got a whole bunch of energy. I should host an event now, right? Like, I mean, yeah, I don't know, and like I don't. It's not, it's not to say that people should stop just hosting events. Host, like, do what you want, right? But, that reality does, create some confusion around those that are just trying to understand the industry or introduce themselves to the startup industry, or I'm an entrepreneur that wants to network here. I just don't know where to start, right? Like, that's not just a Seattle thing. Again, Seattle is a very tech centric city,
Mhm.
so you're going to see a lot of tech focused stuff happening here, right? But it's noisy. It's going to be noisy. You know what I mean? Like, and I think the alternative is like there's like a centralized tech hub that dictates what happens when and where, and like I don't know if we necessarily want that to happen,
Mhm.
right? But um no, it's like I don't know, I have a hard time saying that I'm an insider, right? So I say like from the outside looking in, it's always been entertaining, but like I'm very much, I guess, part of the tech space in Seattle still. And even to me, it seems it can be very muddy and noisy, you know.
So, Ahmad, is there anything I should ask you that I didn't or anything else you wanna talk about?
I don't know. I can talk forever about whatever, but yeah, I don't know. Um, no, I think that's it. I mean, the YP communities. I should talk maybe even a little bit more about that. Like that is where I'm spending probably 95% of my time now. Right, is focused on establishing a scalable model for the organization to be able to sustain. Right, and a lot of that really is creating the revenue model while ensuring there's intentionality around the community members that we serve. So right now, we're actually undergoing a pretty significant market research project. We've got it's credible to me right now, but right now we've got a team of about close to 50 full time, part time, volunteer, intern, interns working in various. divisions of the organization and team. We have a team really of interns that are and they're all grad students or they've recently graduated from master's programs across the U.S. Um, Focus is around data science, data analytics, financial analysis. So a pretty extensive research project with about 20 of these individuals across the U.S. on really kind of like the one identifying who the community members are, what their needs are, who the community members are that are maybe missed or marginalized, identifying the corporate landscape, right? Like what companies exist within communities, what companies are servicing the communities and how, what challenges those companies are having, identifying trends in the hiring market, uh, really important work for our organization, but also important work for, a lot of the organizations that are or companies that are intending to serve um, the communities. And by serve, I mean, if they're selling your product, if they're hiring, like if they're operating within those areas, they need to have an understanding of who exists there, and what the needs are. Um, so I'm really excited about the work. I mean, it's exhausting. I've been interviewing and onboarding constantly. Feels like daily. Which again, it's good. Met some really smart and talented individuals along the way, and it's also really encouraging to meet this many people that are really passionate about like the mission and vision of our organization and wanting to contribute and participate in this. Out of this work, we're actually uh, maybe too soon to announce, but we're also like developing a bit of a program, more so, to be able to recruit individuals to give them hands-on training, upskilling and education certification in various industry things, right? Like be able to kind of like do work, mission driven work, but also be able to introduce them through, the end of this program to companies that are looking to hire. It's fairly new, but it really is just like it's a layer that we put on top of the work that we're already doing anyways. It really is kind of an additive to the individuals that are participating as interns that we can really connect them to opportunities to jobs. Um, but yeah, it's exciting work. It's exhausting, but for the right reasons. Because it's stuff that like I want to continue to contribute to, right? So like I spend more time doing this work than I would in a typical 9 to 5, or even in like you know the role of a entrepreneur running a business, right? Like this is you know weekends, nights, you know, get to go to sleep, pull out my laptop and do some more stuff. It's because stuff that I'm passionate about. So, exciting.
Somehow, can you give us your social media so people can reach out to you,
Yeah,
or any other way you want people to reach out to
I
you?
mean, I think LinkedIn is my preferred way to like connect to me. Like, as much work as I do in marketing, like I don't touch my personal accounts.
Mhm.
But LinkedIn is the best place to reach out to me. I don't know my exact LinkedIn
Yeah, I'll
URL,
put
but
the
it's
link
in the
in there.
bottom corner. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can find it. Yeah, definitely share. Reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah,
And before we get out of here, can you give us any last minute advice or wisdom or anything you want to talk about?
man. Um, Not a person of few words very often. Um, but I mean, I really, it's stay curious, right? Like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to approach a person and ask anything that you're curious about. But stay curious.
Ahmad, thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And to our listeners, thank you for your time as well. And remember to be great every